if we can join us. Okay, let me inform the Ariel. I've already invited Firas.
Hello, everyone. If you're watching live, we're just working out some technical challenges on getting people into the Hangout. Some of you may not be able to join the actual Hangout, but I'm hoping you can watch on Hangouts on Air. If you want to join the conversation, you should do so in the Etherpad for sure. The URL is the public.etherpad-mozilla.org/p/FSA leadership. FSA and the L are all capitals, and then it's leadership. So that's public.etherpad-mozilla.org/p/FSA leadership. It was linked in the calendar item.
Unfortunately, we don't have any people watching us. Oh, we have one. Okay, that means we have one now. 0 again. Okay, I've managed to invite the e-board. We have 2 people live. Perfect. Oh, hello everyone. Apologies for technical difficulties. Unfortunately, we won't be able to invite everyone in this call, but you can ask all your questions and thoughts in the Etherpad. I'm going to share the link again in the Telegram group, and also I can share it here, so I'll share it in the Telegram group. Just wait for a couple of minutes, and then we can start.
Looks like we have someone watching, at least one person in the tab or in the pad. Let us know. We're in a deep. Thanks for tuning in. We will get going very soon. We're just working out some final technical difficulties.
And I don't know if you're able to see the stats, but we have already 3 people watching us live. I have a counter in front of me. So we're in the, let's wait for a couple of more moments, and then we can.
Hey, Christos, is the link to the Hangout on Air the right one in the Etherpad? Or is that the old one?
I think it is, because I just updated.
Great.
Let me double check. We can never be sure. Oh no, it's not. Okay. Let me try again. Yeah. Um, Oh, yeah. No, it's the correct one. Right. So we have already 4 people live on air. We have almost all the board here. So, George, I think it's time, and thanks everyone for being patient. We had some technical difficulties, but now we're solved. Difficulties are solved. And welcome to this call. Uh, it's a great pleasure to have George with us, who would like to share some more information regarding the status of Mozilla on campus. And George, the floor is yours.
Great. I'll just double check. Christos, you can hear me okay? Great. Fantastic. So thanks everyone for watching this either live or after. What we wanted to do was, and what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about where we're at in terms of reimagining and thinking about Mozilla on campus. And in particular, we wanted to talk a little bit about a process that we want to basically launch today or in the next couple of days, and that will kick off and run over the next 2 months. That will give all of you the opportunity to really help shape the future of what Mozilla looks like on campuses around the entire world. So that's kind of the preview message. But let me dig in a little bit more and talk about a few things to begin with, and then talk a little bit about process, or potentially Christos will talk a little bit about the process that we want to go through over the next couple of months, and then see if there's any questions at the end of that, which I'm sure there will be because there's already questions in the pad, although I hope that some of them will get answered in what I wanted to say up front. So first of all, let me just kind of set the frame and be very clear. So to be really, really clear, what we want to do is reimagine Mozilla's presence on university campuses around the world. And we want to do this over the next 2 months, and we want a clear decision on a set of programs, programs, to be made by July 15th. And I'll be really clear again and say that includes evolving the FSA program. And what that might mean is something that's really similar to what we have today, or could be really different. I think, we may even look at the name and ask ourselves, is that the right name, Firefox Student Ambassadors or Firefox Clubs? Or can we look at names that might incorporate Mozilla and look at what that would how that would work? I think we need to bring a lot of creativity to this. We need to look at the best of what we have. We need to also be open to learning about what others have done. And we need to look at all the various different things that are already in play right now at Mozilla, including the REPS program and Mozilla Clubs and a variety of different programs and partnerships with academic institutions around the world, and including the FSA program and Firefox Clubs. And I think part of what we need to do is go through the exercise of asking, knowing what we know now through our experience of Firefox Clubs and the FSA program and all of its predecessors, how would we really design this to have the maximum amount of impact for Mozilla? I'll say one more thing about kind of the process is that we want this to be inclusive. And in particular, everybody here, the FSA eBoard and the RALs are really critical stakeholders who need to have the chance to influence the final shape and design of the program. And we need you to influence it because you understand what life looks like on campus around the world right now, and have been in the trenches running this program and know what's great about it and what can be reimagined, what needs to be reimagined. But I want to be pretty clear about something at the end of this, is that is around who is going to be making decisions around this. So I'll be really clear. I am the final decision maker. Mark Sermon, Mitchell, Katerina, who has just come on as Mozilla's Chief Innovation Officer, Chris Lawrence, who's on Mozilla Foundation as the head of the Mozilla Leadership Network, and Rosanna are going to need to agree. And everybody on this call is going to be a key stakeholder in shaping that, but those individuals need to agree with the final decision. Christos and Lucy will be critical in pulling the materials together to propose the final decision with all of your input, but I'm setting up as the final decision makers accountable for the decision at the end of the day, which is, of course, a big responsibility, and I hope that decision becomes the right one. But I think being really clear about that up front is going to be very important for the process. So we'll talk a little bit more about what that process looks like, but let me say a couple more pieces of context, and I'll try and be really brief, but let me also let kind of my passion show through a little bit on this, because I'm particularly passionate about this. The past 15 years of my career before I joined Mozilla was all about seeing the opportunity that students and professors working together on campuses around the world, and in my case in particular in Canada, and in particular with a lot of engineers, but I saw the opportunity that group of people can to create pretty dramatic change within society. And that's on everything from bringing new innovations to the fore, changing policy through advocacy, making huge contributions to real organizations, teaching, driving behavior change, mobilizing large groups of people. Like I've seen this. I've seen students and professors working together, and campuses in general, create really broad change and be on the absolute leading edge. And for me, that's really exciting. And I believe in that, like, to my core and in my heart. And that's what I'm, like, extremely excited about in this conversation. And one of the things that's interesting is, even if we look at the web and the shape of the web as it began, the first browsers in the entire world were actually built by students. So if you look at the Lynx browser, which was pure text, and then Mosaic, those were actually student projects. And so, like, I mean, the work that Mozilla and the domain that Mozilla is working in, even is one that was shaped by students' involvement and student activism. And so I think we needed that to capture that opportunity and keep that tradition. Now, this, like, we're not building from scratch, obviously. We've had the FSA program and its predecessors. And what I would say there is that we have not quite, we've never really captured the full immensity of this opportunity on campus. And there's, I think, a bunch of reasons why. I think in the past we've been too narrow about seeing the opportunity. We've seen it as marketing at times, as staff, even though a lot of the volunteers have seen it as more broad. It's been ad hoc. There's been disconnected initiatives. So various different initiatives working with academic institutions and professors, but not really stitching together with our student efforts. We have a recruitment department that recruits on campus, but it's not really connected in with a coordinated program. It's been wildly unsupported and under-resourced. You know, the maximum we've ever had on this is one staff member, and I think that that's way too little to actually capture the opportunity. I think also we just haven't asked enough of students. We haven't had them really commit to Mozilla in a broad set of activities and a broad set of goals and creating change over a long a long period of time, and we just haven't invested enough in students on the other side of that. And then finally, I don't know that we've had a clear enough purpose that really connects all of the structures and programs and campaigns together in a way that's really coherent. And I don't think that's anybody's fault, and certainly nobody on this call or nobody watching. It's none of our fault. But I think it's the state of play where we're at right now. And what I'm really excited about, and what I hope all of you are excited about, is reimagining this and saying, what can this be? Now, the campus campaign, just briefly, and I hope all of you have the chance to read the discourse post that Lucy put up yesterday that tries to explain a little bit about what the campus campaign is and isn't. I won't go through that right now, but what I'll say is that it's an experiment. It was an experiment to test out a bunch of hypotheses on how we'd mobilize people over a really short period of time, 2 months, using the existing program. So it wasn't building a program, but it was very much leveraging the FSA program and Fireflux clubs and Mozilla clubs, and mobilizing that group through a campaign that had a campaign structure associated with it. And I think based on what we know about the FSA program and what's working in it, and what was already happening in this experiment, that's the campus campaign, what I can say is we're really confident in now wanting to build a very robust program on campus. And we want to commit substantial resources to this over the coming years. And I think that the key is over the next 2 months, we need to really reimagine what this looks like, what the structures are, what the issues are, what the contribution areas are, how we might create incentives for this, how we might do recognition, et cetera. And again, we have experience that we're building from, but I think we should give ourselves the opportunity to also imagine what this could look like, and what of those experiences we are really going to keep, and which ones we're also going to evolve. I was going to ask Christos, do you want to walk through the process over the next 2 months, or did you want me to do that?
Well, you briefly walk us through the process. I can do it, but we haven't finalized all the details yet. However, after the call, we're going to publish a blog post with Lucy, walking us through all of the details and information about the process in general. But let me give you an idea of the process. It's basically 4 phases. The first phase is the listening, which is the most important phase, and we're going to invite a lot of people who are actively involved in campuses like FSAs and reps and people who are people from OFO, in order to start gathering feedback on what worked and what didn't work all of these years, and what we want to change. The second phase will be around synthesizing data. We're going to start discussing all the information that we gathered from the first process, from the listening process, and try to identify some options. Then we're gonna try to articulate these options and share them with agreeers. The group that George, you already mentioned. It's going to be a variety of people, Rosanna, Katharina, and everyone. And then we're going to finalize the decision, and we're going to share it with you in order to take the final decision and give feedback. That's briefly the process. More details are going to be shared soon with the day. In a blog post.
Great, thanks, Christos. Let me just emphasize a couple of things in this. One is that in the next 4 weeks, you'll have some really good opportunities to share your thoughts generally on what's working, what's not with the FSA program, what you see as the opportunity for Mozilla on campus, and really kind of input into a very general set of conversations and ideas. And then in the second half of June and early July, you'll be able to react to a set of options that we could look at for how these programs might get built, and really weigh in on which direction you think we should be able to make a decision in. And so that's kind of the rough. I think Christos added definitely a lot of really important detail. But roughly, like, you'll have two kind of important time frames for input. And again, as Christos said, we'll share the details of that in the next little while. So why don't I end there? And then I'm not really sure how we want to run this next part of Q&A. But I don't know if Christos, you had any thoughts on how we do that. But I think that when I look at some of the questions that are in the pad, I would say a lot of these are actually not really to answer now. They're very much to answer over the next couple of months. So, what are we integrating all of Mozilla's presences into a single entity? That's an important question to ask over the next couple of months. I think there's advantages and disadvantages that we need to explore of that. Like the next step of the campaign program, what the tier and recognition system is. I think those are really crucial to understand, and how we actually design those and learn from what we have right now. What the activities are on campus, so how much of it is marketing, how many other different activities can be out there, I think is an important piece. One question in there that I'm pretty sure I can confidently answer right now, which is, are we going to have a summit of some sort just for FSAs and RALs? I would say that we will have a gathering of some sort for leaders on campus, and that will definitely happen in 2016, and it will be at least one, and we may do kind of smaller ones more regionally. I think there's some design pieces there, but that for sure is happening. I've asked our team to start thinking about those and designing it, and almost certainly it will involve a large proportion of it will be FSAs and RALs, but I think we've also discovered there's a bunch of people who are interested in being involved with Mozilla on campuses who haven't been involved in those programs before, and so I think we need to figure out how to bring them together, which connects to really the next question after that, which is involving teachers and university staff. Like, I think this is a huge opportunity, and I think somebody and a group that we want to figure out how to bring together on campuses. And some really interesting partnerships, I think, can evolve there. From some of my past experience with Engineers Without Borders, some of the greatest change that we created on Canadian university campuses was around changing the engineering curriculum to be much more creative and actually teaching open practices and design practices. And that was a big partnership between both students and professors to make those changes. So I certainly believe that that connection needs to be made there. And then I think the last question that Faye asked, I think is a really good one. I don't know, Faye, do you want to chime in, given that you're actually in the Hangout, which is lovely?
Okay, cool. So as we have experienced, we had some difficulty undergoing transition to the participation team for the past months. So with this transition defined, I just want to know what's the plan on how we're going to proceed to this. Like, for example, I think one specific thing that I have found difficult during these times is that when we're trying to like improve something or implement something new, there's always this there's always this hindrance that, we can't do that right now. So let's do that after the campus campaign experiment, something like that. So it kind of affected us. Like, we don't know how to proceed. And, there are some people who think that we're kind of falling apart, or we're kind of getting inactive because we don't have that improvements and some operations anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I always struggle with this tension. And I call it, for me, it's the short-term, long-term trade-off that I think always comes to bear. And where it comes to bear is that we know we need to be thinking about the long term and really imagining where we want to end up. But the energy to spend on that and actually designing that actually has a trade-off in the short term on building new pieces into the program and having new elements. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was actually solve some of that by having and energizing people around the campus program, or sorry, the campus campaign, and energizing some of the FSAs. So hopefully there's a focus there that is actually providing some energy. And my guidance and my ask of this group, the RAL and FSA group and eBoard group, is that we actually spend most of our energy in the next 8 weeks really reimagining and on this broad long-term process, or long-term planning process, and not so much on some of the more short-term pieces around around the existing program. That would be my proposal for everybody. I think it will be uncomfortable and maybe unsatisfying, but I think that will give us the best opportunity to be really synchronized and to make sure that we're taking advantage of everyone here, all of your experience in actually running the FSA program, and make sure that as much of the FSA program DNA is in the future of Mozilla on campus as possible. And so that would be my recommendation, is outside of the campus campaign, to really focus your energies on this conversation about the future of the FSA program and Mozilla on campus.
I'm not really sure if that answered my question, but then, because, okay, I'll give something specific. Like, we're being told to focus on a campus campaign, right? But then, for example, there's this situation where RALs are not part of campus teams, and they were not chosen as local coaches. So I think that's my specific example, that people are confused on what to do because of the ongoing transition. So yeah.
So I would get those RALs absolutely, like, let's identify them, and then let's get them involved in actually summarizing and putting thoughts together on what worked and what didn't in the FSA program, and being part of the design for the next phase, or sorry, for the future of Mozilla on campus. That would be my answer on that those individuals who right now, what they should be focused on right now.
Speaking of which, as we already shared and George highlighted, after this call later today, we're gonna share a blog post with outlining the process, how it would like in the future, and providing ways to give input and help during the process. For example, as you already know, we've already started that. That was the meaning of that meeting, to be honest, to start to do a short analysis of the project, of the program, in order to understand strengths, opportunities, and everything. So that will help us move forward, and this is the most important phase in order to build something really solid, to build something with solid foundations. Returning back to the questions, and by the way, if people from the eBoard, Minor, do you have any questions? You have the opportunity to be here. So you have the opportunity to be with us live, so feel free to jump into questions. Getting back to the Etherpad, most of the questions around campus campaign can be answered by the discourse thread. Actually, are answered there, which I highlighted. It's in the line number 20. And I have George answering now. Do you want to jump in, George? I've seen you typing some answers. Or no, it's basically the previous question. Um, yeah, on the question, have any of the Ariel's been invited to the London hands-on? Yes, George already commented, but not sure. Yes, I'm not sure either. We can get this after the call. Right, and most of these questions are going to, basically, I'll take all of these questions and I will gather them and help, and basically they will help us design a better process, because there are a lot of great questions, a lot of great highlights, which will help us through the way. So think about that. George, anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I'll stick in this Etherpad for a little bit longer, and just see if I can kind of answer some questions or give some thoughts here after the meeting. But I'll just say again, like, I'm super excited to be imagining so it's probably more, and it is now, with all those different options, and now to because it'll be real critical driver option that we'll want to have. And I think just so many agreements to do some things. So I'm super excited to be imagining that with all of you.
Sorry to interrupt, but you had a strange robotic voice. I thought it was me, but apparently it was for everyone. So we weren't able to hear you. Can you repeat yourself, please? And apparently, George.
Hello, I'm trying to be back. Am I back?
Yes, yes, you're back.
Great. Sorry, I was just in the middle of my motivational speech, and then it cut out. How bad? Anyway, I am. Let me just briefly say, I'm super excited to do this work with all of you over the next period. So is Christos. So is Lucy. To really imagine the kind of impact that we can have for Mozilla's mission, because I think it's substantial, and there's some great things. And this is an area that Mozilla is going to be investing in, and our team is going to be investing in over the years to come. And I think that the size and scale and impact, the greatest of the size and scale and impact of students and universities and professors on Mozilla and its mission is yet to come. So I'm excited about figuring out what that looks like with all of you in the next couple of months. Feel free to reach out, ideally in discourse, so that we can kind of have discussions out in the open, and look forward to a blog post in the next little while. We wanted to share some of this up front with you before putting stuff more broadly live. So feel free to keep reaching out.
Thanks everyone for attending. Let's keep the conversation open. If you have any other questions, feel free to address them in the Etherpad. Wait for more updates in your mailbox regarding the process and how you can involve. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, George. And see you soon.